cards that are going around, so please make sure you sign in so Abby will know who was here today. And also make sure you turn off your cell phones, and then after Abby's finished her speech, if you could kindly move yourselves and your congratulations out to the foyer, because there'll be somebody else coming in to do a speech as well. All right, so let's begin. I'm excited to be introducing Abby to you tonight. I first met Abby 3 years ago. It was my first year here at Dock, and Abby was a new student in my honors chemistry class. It didn't take long for me to realize that she was both intelligent and extremely hardworking. But the thing that I admired most about her at that time was just her sensitivity. Abby was always there to treat others with such kindness that it was very obvious. By Arts Day, I was happily surprised that Abby had all of these hidden talents that I had no idea about. Suddenly she was on stage playing the saxophone, the piano, she was quilting, making this amazing quilt, and it was so exciting for me to see those talents that I had never known about being shown to everybody else. But when I think about Abby, the thing that I think most is that Abby is resilient. She knows who she is, she knows who she wants to be, she knows who the people in her life are that love her and care for her, and she, no matter what storms come through her life, she keeps walking forward. And I think a part of this is, over the last few years, Abby has really gotten to build a relationship with God, and I think having that relationship has allowed her, through the ups and downs of life, to just keep moving forward one step at a time until the storm has passed. Abby, you are an amazing person, and I can't wait to see what God will do with your willing heart. Abby.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith, for that introduction, and thank you, everyone, for coming. I surely won't forget the year of chemistry I had with you when you put me next to Ashley Mellinger, Mason Fisher, and Michael Chavez. And I also won't forget the time you drove our government class to Jesse's. But as a person, you consistently pushed me to become a better person and always encouraged me to dream big. Imagine walking on a log over a raging stream. Your feet are trembling and your heart is racing. Your eyes are looking straight ahead, but your mind is focused on the rushing water below you. For me, that was my journey towards graduation. I never knew how much further I had to walk on the log to get across, or if I would ever even make it. Sometimes people were there with me to hold my hand and balance me, but other times I was close to falling over. But no matter what, it was important to realize that everyone was crossing the same water. My journey across didn't start here at Dock. My first year was spent at Penridge High School, surrounded by my peers whom I've grown up with since preschool. The building itself was intimidating, with 3 floors, long hallways, and winding staircases, crowded with football jocks, daunting upperclassmen, and the freshmen. I was one of those freshmen among the 500 others in my class. I truly was a small fish in a big pond. The transition from middle school to high school went smoother than expected because, as dorky as it may seem, I decided to join the marching band. Being a part of the marching band meant sacrificing every day in August from 8 to 8 out on the blazing hot football field to nail every step. It required a great deal of focus and coordination, and needless to say, I wasn't very good at it. But it gave me the opportunity to ease in the high school setting and meet upperclassmen. School at Penridge had always come easily to me. I didn't feel like I was being challenged. I got into the habit of expecting easy A's and not having to work hard for my grades. I didn't have to spend hours on homework or studying, something I should have taken for granted as a freshman. In a school as big as Penridge, it was hard to find your social circle, and when I left, I wasn't sure I'd ever found it. I floated from group to group, but never connected with anyone except from a friend from a previous soccer team, who I had then considered my best friend. As different as we seemed, it somehow worked for the two of us. And as great as my year seemed to be going, it changed in an instant. What I thought to be a true and wholesome friendship had turned deceitful. I was angry, mad at myself for being so blind. I started resorting to unhealthy habits and keeping secrets, and who I was hidden behind a stone wall. I didn't recognize myself, and neither did my family. One social media post had the power to break a friendship and to break who I thought I was. I was devastated to learn that others felt so hateful towards me and were wishing things upon me that nobody ever deserves to hear. It was this incident that, as hard as it was, changed the outcome of my high school experience and taught me what forgiveness truly was. Flash forward a few months and welcome to Dock. I was starting soccer preseason at the newly named Dock Mennonite Academy. I distinctly remember telling my mother that the only way she'd get me to transfer to another school is if she let me play on the soccer team. As anyone knows, that's not an easy deal. I have a long history of concussions and injuries. But soccer was a release for me and allowed me to meet new students before the school year started. I had to work harder than the rest of the girls. I hadn't played in years, which was a struggle, yet I'm grateful for the patience the team had with me. There were times I was frustrated and wanted to give up, but that season showed me what it meant to persevere and have fun, even when it meant you weren't the star on the team. When the school year started, I was terrified, as any new student would be. I felt surrounded by students that had already experienced 1 year together and had established friend groups. I felt like an outcast, and I was worried I wouldn't belong or that other students would know about my incident at Penn Ridge. Luckily, a group of friends found me and invited me in. It felt nice to feel noticed and seen. My grandfather graciously made the drive every morning, and I always headed straight to my first period class, which happened to be the most challenging class for me. Math at Penn Ridge was easy, and I excelled without much effort, but advanced math 1 and 2 at Dock required much more attention and focus. As much as I tried to keep up with the homework and classwork, I found myself slowly falling behind and started to devote more mornings, lunches, and days after school in Mr. Yoder's room in order to stay at the same pace as the other students. I was discouraged and frustrated with myself that I had to work harder, but Mr. Yoder always reminded me not to stress. Yes, it was a math classroom, but it was also a space that gave me the opportunity to ease into a new school and find myself again. It was a space that gave me a social break from all the new people I had seen each day, and for that, even though he couldn't make it here tonight, I thank you, Mr. Yoder. I surprisingly found myself doing well in English. My family had always commended me for being a talented writer, but I never believed it until a teacher recognized it. I was dedicated to doing well in that class, as the other students' writing often intimidated me. Yet, I seemed to find my own groove. Not only did I find myself doing well, I found myself enjoying it. Writing essays and reading books was something I had always dreaded, but in Mrs. McTavish's class, I looked forward to assignments, and she gave me the confidence I needed in my writing. And by halfway through my sophomore year, I still wasn't as involved as I would have liked to be. At Penn Ridge, I could be seen participating in everything from music to student council, from sports to drama. But here, I was merely focused on maintaining mediocre grades and adjusting to a new school, till Mr. Benner reached out to me about Arts Day. He explained to me what it was and wanted to get me involved. I was hesitant because it meant stepping outside of my comfort zone. But now I look back and I'm grateful for that he approached me with that opportunity. Even more to surprise, I ended up leading a stage group called Hit the Road Jack and playing saxophone and piano, as well as placing first for my quilt and fabric arts. It felt great to finally feel like my talents were appreciated by my teachers and peers. Arts Day gave me the boost of confidence that I needed to get more involved and reach out to others. A part of me at the beginning of sophomore year thought I would only be going to Dock for 1 year to let the drama settle, so I was scared to open up to people and being heard again. I was afraid to meet new people who would leave again in a short few months, but once I let that mentality go, a whole new world was before me. I was learning how to be myself again and how to feel safe. I built new friendships and relationships. I felt comfortable walking around campus, waving hello to teachers and other students, and by the end of the year, I remember feeling happy again. That was also my first year exposed to a multitude of chapels. I remember feeling how different it was for the entire student body and staff to meet together 3 times a week. And there truly is something remarkable about a school that can do that. Not only did it show me that although I'm only one person, I'm a part of something bigger, but as I listened to various people come and speak, it stirred my heart and my mind. I didn't grow up in a family that goes to church every Sunday, let alone Easter and Christmas. I was not familiar with the books of the Bible, and I often felt guilty because of how little I knew. I wonder what it was like to be a true and faithful Christian, and if it was too late for me to follow Jesus too. The Sophomore Bible Project gave me a deeper look into what it meant to be a follower of Christ. When Tyler, Laura, Connor, and I went to Philadelphia several times to serve hot meals and coffee to the needy and homeless, I stirred creamer and sugar into the coffee. I witnessed true acts of the Lord. Some of the other volunteers had made relationships with some of the people who were regularly for food and were praying for them. And in the middle of the streets of Philadelphia, I kid you not, I saw the Lord working. Strangers were weeping with one another. People were calling out to the Lord, and people, no matter their circumstances, felt at peace within that moment. I was in awe of how powerful prayer can be. On the last night we served, all the volunteers and some of the locals gathered in a circle, holding hands, standing in silence and in prayer for over 20 minutes. The beauty in it was how there was no awkwardness or desire to walk away, but the feeling of calm and stillness that fell upon us. From that moment on, I knew a relationship with God was waiting for me. All I had to do was embrace it. The following summer, I was granted the opportunity to travel to Harvard University to attend a Leadership Ambassador program, where I met other high schoolers from around the world. We engaged in a week-long program of seminars, service, and group bonding. I was thrilled to experience this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, as that week was like no other. Each student was put into a leader group of 10 to 12 other kids to work on a week-long initiative project, and we spent most of our time together. My group, by far, made the most memories and bonded extremely well. One night, a group of guys from our group made pizza rolls in the dorm ovens and tossed them down 3 stories to the girls' floor using sheets tied in knots and hanging them out the window. Needless to say, our group was always getting in trouble for shenanigans as such, but it just made our group leader, Miss Allie, enjoy being our counselor even more. 2 years later, and over 900 miles away, Miss Allie and I are still in touch. At camp, we connected on a spiritual level. One night, we both stayed up and talked about our similar struggles with mental illness. And before we went to bed, she had me listen to No Longer Slaves, a popular worship song that is now one of my favorites to hear on the radio. I may not have realized it there, but our meaning has to be more than just fate. Boy, does God work in mysterious ways. As my summer full of traveling to California, flipping blizzards at DQ, and endless mornings of sleeping in until noon, summer came to an end. I decided to return back to Doc for my junior year. I had hopes as I was confident in how I ended the previous school year and was ready to see what the new chapter of my life would hold. And I realized that the next part should be somewhere where I felt valued and loved. Staying at Doc seemed like the obvious choice. I took a huge risk auditioning for the touring choir, since I hadn't sang since middle school. Here, the choir has a reputation of being the best of the best. I'd always heard of the Doc touring choir being an elite group of high schoolers in the famous green robes. It was an honor for me to join the choir and carry on that legacy. The music program at Doc has provided me with a multitude of opportunities that students at public school wouldn't have. Most of my favorite memories of high school come from the events the choir did, something I would have never pictured myself if it wasn't for a few friends who encouraged me to try out. The choir gave me the amazing opportunity to travel to Europe, somewhere I never expected to go, and being in the beautiful countries of Germany, Poland, and the Czech Republic for 3 weeks opened my eyes to a new world. The land was gorgeous, the people were welcoming, and the experience was something I will never forget. We often stayed in host families with people from the area where we were singing, which allowed us to learn more about European culture and to live in it. One night, some friends and I were put in a host family with kids our age, and we stayed up in the kitchen table drinking strawberry milkshakes and eating cookies all night. Another host family had smaller children that I got along with, as they liked listening to me play the piano for them. When we weren't with host families, you could find any Doc kid at any gelato stand, as that was our favorite treat. Mr. Durstein and Miss Grimes had set up several things for us to do as a group, specifically a bike tour in which we rode through parks and towns. Other times, we were given the day to explore the cities we stopped in. One day, a group of us girls decided to explore a bridge with rocks and water underneath, where people were waiting. We were exhausted and decided to rest our eyes and sunbathe on the rocks. An hour or two later, I woke up in a panic. I had fallen asleep in public in the middle of Germany. But we all had, and unlike here in the US, we surprisingly felt comfortable with the strangers surrounding us. The people who lived there seemed wholesome and laid back, taking in the moment just like we were. The most emotional experiences of the trip came to me when we were singing in high cathedrals or at the former concentration camps. At that camp we sang at, we chose a song that was written from the words of a person who wrote on the walls when they were imprisoned. The song talked about being able to believe in God, even when he was silent, no matter the circumstances. I remember the entire choir crying and standing still, taking in where we were and why we were there. It was moments like this I wish I could go back to, and it's hard not to be able to share every lasting memory with you while I was there. This truly was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Other trips for music were just as memorable. Each year, the band and choir traveled to other Mennonite schools to play and sing all together as a mass group. The long bus rides, endless laughs, and new people were among the highlights of these trips, as well as growing as a musician with other people interested in music like I was. This year, the choir even traveled to New York City to perform in Carnegie Hall, a great honor. All the trips allow me to bond with lower-classmen and get to know other people beyond who I would typically talk to. These are opportunities I know students in public school wouldn't have, and I'm forever grateful for the full music experience I have had. Specifically in choir this year, I felt a more emotional and spiritual response to songs we were singing. The MZEC Choir Festival in Lancaster, our choir sang, "How Can I Keep From Singing?" which felt ironic to me. I never pictured myself in the choir, yet there I was, doing something that made me happy and made me feel good about myself. And when I got so involved, I started to feel overwhelmed and I had to step back. I had to learn how to prioritize and manage my time better. I learned that I couldn't always do everything. Junior year, I had to drop AP classes and take more study halls. I had to be real with my limitations, which I often wasn't honest about. I wanted to do everything I could be a part of, but the balance of sports, school, work, and free time was something I had to learn to get used to. But above all, that was the year of my spiritual growth. I can stand here and say that that was the year I found God and truly found his love for the first time. And when you know who Jesus is, your world changes. I learned how valued I was and where to find refuge in the storm. I began feeling more comfortable talking about my faith and asking questions. I started to find more meaning in chapels and to engage in prayer. I went to worship nights here at Dock and God's Quest, and by the end of the year, I was leading them too. There is something so special when a group of people come together to worship and praise the Lord. More times than one, I remember leading on stage in the theater. I could hear everyone singing and praying with lifted hands. At times like that, I was able to let go of my fears, worries, and burdens. I had given them to God. If you would have asked me freshman year where I would be as a junior, I would not have come close to the right answer. I hadn't even known how to play the guitar back then. I decided to teach myself basic chords and strumming patterns to play my favorite worship songs. For me, my guitar is the way for me to connect with God best. Might be the words I'm singing or the gentle strumming patterns, but when I play, I know God is right there with me. And by the end of junior year, I had found my place here on campus. And a majority of the students had established great relationships and excited to come back to school each day, something I hadn't felt in a long time. And when senior year came around, I was ready to continue the way I had left things. When you talk to people who've graduated, many say that junior year is the hardest battle, that they didn't prepare me for the fact that senior year could be just as bad. Before school even started, I felt overwhelmed just thinking about colleges, AP summer work, and it was time for me to start thinking about what was going to happen after I graduated. Yet I still had one more year of high school to get through before the postgraduate plans came a reality. Becoming an overachiever, I didn't decide to continue challenging myself. I only took 2 AP classes, but I took leadership in various activities. In going to this year, I knew it would go fast. I wanted to make the most of it. I made memories in my favorite classes like culinary arts and volleyball. I joined the soccer team again and tried to be a better player than I was. I joined chapel committee because I wanted to help plan chapels that would engage the student body. I led worship nights to give the students and myself a time of prayer and worship. I continued as class secretary, planning senior events and activities to make this final year memorable for our class. I joined Mr. Hackman's Dock Ambassador Group because I was passionate about leading others to Dock where they could have an experience like I did. I continued with band and choir, pursuing my music and challenging myself. I kept myself busy in more ways than one. As skeptical I was about taking AP English, Mrs. McTavish wasn't taking no for an answer, and I found that course has prepared me for college. The heavy workload was demanding and at times seemed impossible to conquer. The deadlines always approached fast and tested my famous skill of procrastination. Amidst the textbook assignments that were preparing the class for the exam, Mrs. McTavish was sure to give us reading assignments for our books. I decided to read a series by Mitch Albom. There are 3 books to the series that are set in heaven, each displaying a different plot surrounding faith, death, and how each choice you make affects every person you meet. Later in the year, I read The Shack by Paul Young. Like the books by Mitch Albom, this was also centered about the death of a young person and the victim's father reconciling with his faith. The 2 books were similar, and I was drawn to them in a personal way, as I too have been surrounded with a great deal of death. Maybe I was drawn to these books as I am still healing. Maybe it's because I find comfort in knowing that the pain I have felt is normal. Pain was a recurring theme for me. I never truly dealt with my feelings from the incident I had at Penridge. I fell in the slumps. I got anxious over things that were small and insignificant. I questioned my worth. I thought things that weren't true, and I was angry at the 2 girls that made me hurt for making me turn my life around. I felt sad in moments that were supposed to be happy. I lost my way, and I felt alone. I was angry at God. Why did he let me feel this way? Why do I feel so broken and hurt? Where was he when I needed him the most? As absent as he may have seemed, he was there. Our lives aren't in straight paths, and when we choose to follow Jesus, you can't expect things to go the way we plan. He walks us through the hills and valleys and over streams and under mountains. It was difficult for me to let go of the plan I thought I had and give it all to God. I trusted him, and he led me down the path of forgiveness. I learned to forgive the ones who have hurt me, but I've also learned to forgive myself. I learned to forgive the ones who I have hurt, but God shows mercy on us, so we must have it on ourselves. Once I learned how to truly forgive, I was able to work on me. I was able to let go and release myself from my past and become who I have always truly wanted to be. I've been down dark roads, and I hated knowing that other people were there too. I was committed and wanted to be someone that made a difference in people's lives and make a change for those who feel the way I once did. I wanted to be proud of who I was, and as I finished my senior year, I'm proud of who I am based on my past, but solely on where I'm headed. And I couldn't have gotten through those rough patches without the people who were there to continually support me and show me the greater things lie ahead. Some of life's greatest lessons are taught by those around you. It was Olivia who taught me that greater things are coming, even when you can't see them. It was Tyler that taught me it's okay to hurt and that pain is temporary. It was Addison who showed me how to laugh through the hard times in life, and Nicole who showed me how to be myself, no matter what anyone else thought. It made my transfer one of the best things to happen to me, and for all the people I couldn't name, thank you for showing me who I am and who I am not, for continuously proving to me why I'm here, and for making me feel loved, supported, and valued every step of the way. Noni and Pop, the two most supporting grandparents anyone could ever ask for. Pop, you show me tough love. You call me out on not getting my college applications in on time, or for when I doubt my academic accomplishments. Noni, you're always there to comfort me on my worst days and push me in my music career. The two of you have been right alongside of me every day to show me what right and wrong is, to show me the potential of what I can be if I work hard enough. Dave, although you haven't been there since day one, I want to be able to tell you the difference. You consistently show me what it means to work hard and overcome my obstacles. You bought me my first guitar, a gift greater than you could have ever imagined. You were there to fill the gaps in my life and have surely made our family complete. And Mom, you have sacrificed things to make sure I could come here. You knew that Doc was the right place for me. You were the only one who gave up everything to give me the opportunity to grow and become the person I am today. You've continuously shown me what it means to persevere and work hard, and you set an example for me every day at home and at work. You hold back your tears to show your strength, and you are humble in your accomplishments. Life has thrown you too many curveballs, yet you've handled them with such grace. You are a person I strive to become. In February, I committed to Messiah College to continue my academic career. I was hesitant and at times doubtful that that is where I belonged. I prayed for reassurance or direction in my decision, and God has certainly answered me. I have been blessed with numerous scholarship opportunities that have allowed me to confidently say I'll be attending Messiah College to major in biology pre-med. I plan to continue on to medical school in hopes of earning a degree in pediatric oncology. I also hope to travel to other countries or areas of the United States in time of need as a general physician to serve others. People both near and far deserve the chance to live a life of prosperity and happiness, and as a doctor, I could contribute to that goal. As I have observed, doctors are more than just the people who treat your outer wounds, but people of kindness and humbleness that care for your entire well-being. Everyday warriors and heroes. This is the person I also strive to become. As one who's been given enough, it is my responsibility to give back to those who don't. And because of that, it's not only my calling, but my passion. Thank you.